Good evening, basketball fans, and welcome to this Group D matchup here in Ljubljana between the host Petrol Olimpija and the visitors from Italy, Segafredo Bologna. It's game day 3 of the Basketball Champions League in season 3 of the BCL, and it's a phenomenal Group D matchup. Two teams that have a strong basketball history. For Bologna, they come in on the road here in Slovenia after winning their first 2 games. They are at the top of Group D. Well, actually, sorry, after Strasbourg's 7-point win just moments ago against Besiktas in Istanbul, they are now 3-0, which means that Bologna at 2-0 is right behind them, but do have a chance to climb back to the top spot if a good performance follows here today. It's a Bologna team that won by 5 against Neptunus Klaipėda and by 29 over Filu Ostend. But this is their first road challenge away from Italy in the Basketball Champions League this season. You see the standings right now. Bologna has 4 points. That should be updated with Strasbourg 6. And then Prometheus Patras also with 4 points, and they will be playing tonight as well. Meanwhile, for the hosts, Petrol Olimpija, the season not getting off to the brightest of starts. Currently 0-2. As you can see, the Bologna team still getting pretty warmed up. Petrol Olimpija losing by 10 on game day 1 to Strasbourg, and then a tough loss just last week in Greece to Prometheus Patras by 2, 79-77. So they'll look to bounce back here at home at the Arena Stosice in Ljubljana, Slovenia. We're going to be quite excited. It's a good matchup. You know, Scotty Reynolds will be battling Tony Taylor and Kevin Punter. Scotty Reynolds not probably shooting the best basketball of his career so far. And for Bologna, definitely going to keep your eyes open for Kevin Punter, who comes into this game as one of the leading scorers in the BCL, 19 points per game in just 28 minutes of action. Also going to keep an eye out for Amat Mbai with 12 points a game. And then they've been getting 11 points from Brian Kvel as well. Meanwhile, for Petrol Olimpija, in their lineup, you can recognize Scotty Reynolds, a couple of Slovenian sensations, including Blas Mesicek, the 21-year-old, who's making a name for himself for the European champions. Despite Slovenia struggling in the World Cup qualifiers, he's been one pleasant surprise, and on this team he comes in averaging 12.5 points a game. Meanwhile, they've also got Scotty Reynolds playing in one of the 2 games so far with 17 points per game, and then Span with 15 points, though we're not sure if he'll be matched, if he'll be in the lineup here tonight. And again, for those of you who are less familiar with the Basketball Champions League format, this is the 3rd season. We're in game day 3 of 14. The season features 32 teams across 4 groups of 8. The 4 best-ranked teams from each group will advance to the playoffs. So obviously you want to stay in that top 4 of 8 throughout the season if possible. The 5th and 6th place finishers of each group will be qualified for the FIBA Europe Cup playoffs. And then, unfortunately, for the teams in 7 and 8, they will be eliminated. For the playoffs, the top 4 in each group play a set of home and away games in the round of 16. Whoever wins those 2 games on aggregate will move on to the quarterfinals, and that will determine the Final 4. So Segafredo Virtus Bologna, featuring a couple of American players, a few Italian players, nice mix, good young team. Meanwhile, Petrol Olimpija with a lot of homegrown talent, but Bologna led by coach Stefano Sacripanti. Meanwhile, Petrol Olimpija led by coach Zoran Martic, as the players will be introduced now. So the home fans now making some noise for their team. The big man Marvin Jones, 7-footer, who has been quiet. Jones comes in averaging 9 points per game in 25 minutes. Does have 6.5 rebounds per game, so using his size to his advantage. And also, Michal Laportnik, the backup point guard, has been a good contributor off the bench, usually 12 points per game. Meanwhile, we're less than 4 minutes away from the opening tip here in Ljubljana. And again, Petrol Olimpija, while they were in Greece last week, they got a good performance from Scotty Reynolds, all things considering, shooting 6 of 10 for 17 points, also knocking down 4 threes. They also got 5 3-pointers from Michal Laportnik, as he had 17 points. And then they got 14 points and 7 rebounds from Marvin Jones. Meanwhile, for Bologna, as we mentioned, Kevin Punter leads them in scoring 19 points per game. He's also been helped out in the rebounding division from Kelvin Martin, the 6'5" small forward, who's been getting 7.5 rebounds per game to go with his 6.5 points. And we see the referees for today's action. From Greece, Georgios Prosanidis. From Bulgaria, Ventsislav Velikov. And also from Greece, Panagitos Anaskopoulos. So 2 Greek referees lacing up their shoes for this matchup in Slovenia. Again, Slovenia, Petrol Olimpija looking for their first victory of the Young Basketball Champions League season. Their point differential is not as bad as Midi Beirut and Filo Ostens at the moment, but they do need to get their first victory in front of the home crowd to get the season going. You see the starting 5 here for Bologna. It's Kevin Punter and Tony Taylor in the backcourt, Filippo Baldi-Rossi, Pietro Aradori, and finally the big man inside, Devan Kravic. And once again, you see coach there, Stefano Sacripanti, talking to his assistants, going through some last-minute pre-game preparation. Meanwhile, the starting 5, as you see, Yusuf Sanan, the Ukrainian, who has been an exciting prospect, young player. And the starting 5 will be Scotty Reynolds, Alexander Lazic, Luka Samanic, Michal Laportnik, and the big man, Bojan Radunovic. Meanwhile, Coach Zoran Martic will be looking to really set the tone early on, you'd imagine. This is a team that is 24th out of 32 in scoring, 74 points per game. Meanwhile, they'll be looking to slow down Bologna, who comes in averaging 86 points per game. Good enough for 9th in the Basketball Champions League. Also, they grab 41 rebounds per game, which is 7th compared to Petrol Olimpija's 38 rebounds per game. A couple of other things to look for. This will be the 3rd time that Petrol Olimpija faces an Italian side in the Basketball Champions League history, and they've lost both of those games they've played against were against Umanoreer Venezia, and they were both losses by 10+ points. So not too positive a history to look back on. Petrol Olimpija have only won 4 of their 16 BCL games, and 2 of those wins were at home. So it's been a tough time for this Slovenian team, but you'd imagine with all the positive momentum from that 2017 Eurobasket season, maybe it's carrying over a little bit more. Meanwhile, for Bologna, they are the best defensive team from beyond the arc. only conceding 3 made three-pointers per game. So they really do a great job of taking away that three-pointer. And they'll be looking to slow down Scotty Reynolds' three-point barrage. Meanwhile, Kevin Punter has been a very consistent offensive player in the Basketball Champions League, scoring in double figures in 18 of his last 19 BCL games. As we mentioned earlier, coming in averaging 19 points per game. So keep your eyes out for Kevin Punter, Scotty Reynolds. That is the matchup that we are anticipating. And we are now ready for the opening tip here in Ljubljana, with the first possession going to Petrol Olimpija. So Samanic over to Reynolds. Here's Lapornik inside right away. And the ball's deflected away from Radulovic. Still courtesy of Tony Taylor. So good defense from Bologna on that first possession. Here's Punter. It doesn't need much room. Kicks it out. Three-pointer. No good that time from Mbaye. The big man showing you the outside touch. Gets the ball again here. Attacks the basket. Leaves his feet. Fortunate to find a teammate. And the tip-in for Mbaye. So electrifying start for the big man, the 6'8" center, Mbaye. Meanwhile, Reynolds misses his first shot, able to stay with the possession. Gets the ball inside, and Radulovic misses the layup. Multiple opportunities. Finally, Radulovic able to get the putback. So 2-2 here in the early going of the first quarter. Both teams getting off the schneid with the early basket. And Baldi Rossi playing a little two-man game action with Aradori. He'll take the long three just off the left rim, and the ball sails over the backboard out of bounds. So Aradori unable to knock down his first shot. Take another look at that. Multiple offensive rebounds. This tip drill. Samanic will hand off, and Reynolds, easy drive to the basket. No help side defense whatsoever from Bologna. And that's always a dangerous sight for a shooter. He's able to get an easy layup. Meanwhile, layup missed from Bologna, and back the other way. Coast to coast, Alexander Lazic gets his first bucket. So 6 quick points here for Olimpija. Oh, good pick and pop action, and Mbaye too strong on that three. Lazic another rebound. Quick outlet to Reynolds. Lazic decides to reset, looking for Lapornik. Gives it back over to Reynolds. 10 seconds on the shot clock. High screen coming from Radulovic. Reynolds puts him on his hip. Lazic doesn't take the three, takes a more contested three-pointer, and the air ball will lead to a shot clock violation. So Lazic inexplicably passes on the open three, and it ends up as a turnover for Olimpija. So it's Tony Taylor being guarded by Scotty Reynolds. Taylor turns the corner, a little pick and pop. Punter goes straight to the basket, and Mbaye again. We know Punter is a very aggressive with a shot, takes a three. Can't connect on his first outside look. Here's Lapornik, he can do that, and he misses his first three, so neither team able to hit the outside shot here early on. Meanwhile, what a block, chased down by Lazic to prevent the basket from Aradori, and a beautiful pass inside to Radulovic. Scotty Reynolds showing you the court vision, as you see first the block on one end from Lazic and the no-look feed from Scotty Reynolds. So a perfect start here so far for Olimpija, as Punter takes another contested shot and knocks it down this time. And we know Kevin Punter is this team's go-to scorer, able to create a shot anytime. Meanwhile, Scotty Reynolds passes on the three, extra pass, and Samanic can't hit the open three. Adadori takes the bump. They're going to call it on the floor. So the first foul of the game will be called on Radulovic. As Adadori, despite body type, able to be aggressive. Meanwhile, checking into the game for the first time is Devan Kravic. Kravic, the 7-footer. Here's Mbai looking to get that step. Punter, in and out dribble, looking for space. Mbai looking to exploit the mismatch. Catch and shoot. Punter, big three from Kevin Punter. And this man can get a bucket. Do you hear me? 5 points already for Kevin Punter. Reynolds leaving his feet. Wants to go inside Radulovic. He's fronted by Kravic, and it's going to be a traveling violation on Samanic. So 2 early turnovers already for Olimpija. Samanic, just 18 years of age, 6'10" power forward from Croatia. Very bright future, obviously. There's a lot of length on this Olimpija team. Meanwhile, Adadori, he'll take a 3, in and out. And the whistle goes. It's going to go against Samanic, I believe, battling for the rebound. But in this Olimpija starting lineup, you see Lazic. He's just 22, number 8 from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Obviously, Samanic there, 18 years old. So Scotty Reynolds at 31, the wily veteran. And it's going to be a turnover as Mbai is looking to drive baseline. So 8-7 early on here. And we're going to see Marvin Jones, number 3 for Olimpija, into the game for the first time. 7-footer. Radulovic didn't hit the cutter. Meanwhile, nice pocket pass. And the quick turnaround, no good. Radulovic stays with it. Feeds Jones inside, and he gets the easy 2. Some good interior passing on that possession. And Marvin Jones making an early impact on his first offensive possession. Adadori, the pump fake, and Mbai. Give it back to Adadori. Has to put it up. Shot clock will expire. Good defense that time from Olimpija. So Kevin Martin, number 1, will check into the game for the first time. Kelvin Martin, who has pretty good length on him. 6'5", playing that small forward position. And between him, Taylor, and Punter, there's a lot of energy and athleticism in that backcourt on the wings. Meanwhile, another nice pass from Reynolds, but Radulovic fumbles it. Martin comes away with it, finds Tony Taylor. He hits the 3, and we are now tied at 10. As Scotty Reynolds finds the baseline, he can't complete the reverse layup. And good hustle there from Marvin Jones to poke the ball away. Here comes Lazic, back for Olimpija. Radulovic decides to pull it back out, and Olimpija will reset. Scotty Reynolds, room for 3, in and out once again. Taylor comes back the other way for Bologna. Oh, nice behind the back dribble, fade away. Ooh, just a little bit too strong. Overshot his target. Here's Reynolds again. Well, 2-man, Radulovic kicks it out. Marvin Jones with the outside touch, and he knocks down the 3. Nice play there from Marvin Jones. The 24-year-old out of Texas Southern by way of Chicago, Illinois. Already with 5 quick points in limited action. And Aradori, no basket. They're going to wave that off. Call the foul on the floor. So Radolovic will head to the bench, and that's going to bring Mirsad Begic, 7'1" center, backup center inside for Olimpija. Meanwhile, Aradori, a little bit of separation, knocks down the calm fadeaway. Confident looking shot there from Pietro Aradori for his first two. Meanwhile, Marvin Jones thought about another three, and he looked for the high-low pass, overshot his teammate. It's another turnover for Olimpija. Meanwhile, Aradori content to just set it back up. And he takes now top of the key three, short on that. Reynolds loses his footing, and it's going to be a foul as Begic will head to the free throw line. Foul caught on Kravic. Kravic out of Canada. You see Reynolds, hard fall, but the fortuitous bounce ends up in the hands of Begic, and we'll get the first two free throws of the night. First free throw is good for Begic. And he goes 2 for 2 from the line. So Olimpija back up 2. Meanwhile, Mbai over to Capelletti, who's into the game for the first time. And here's Kravic. Nice kick out, Kelvin Martin. Pump fakes, gets into the lane. Nice strong drive that time from Kelvin Martin. And he's able to finish with his offhand for his first basket of the game. Meanwhile, Blas Misicic, 6'6" shooting guard, 21 years of age, very dangerous offensive threat. Able to find Blezic for the air ball, but Begic short on the shot. Marvin Jones unable to collect the offensive rebound before going out of bounds. So Capelletti over to Martin. Here's Aradori on the block now, showing you the full arsenal. Kicks it out. Capelletti, he'll take the three, knocks it down. Capelletti with his first shot. And it's another three-pointer for Bologna. And they've gotten off to a tremendous start here. So 17-14 in what's been a very exciting first quarter. Meanwhile, we're going to have a foul against Capelletti, trying to stay in front of Scotty Reynolds. Capelletti, the backup point guard at 6'1". And we're also going to see Isuf Sanon, the shooting guard out of Ukraine, 6'4". Meanwhile, Reynolds finds Sanon, and they'll go inside to Begic. Shot clock down at 5. Begic, jump hook, no good. Sanon able to squeeze the rebound away from Martin. And they go back to Begic inside. He's got the mismatch. This time it falls for him. And meanwhile, the final possession, Bologna, as Scotty Reynolds commits a foul to help set up the defense. So Capelletti will inbound. Looks for Aradori. Olimpia can't afford to foul. And Aradori forcing the issue. And they're going to call a foul on the shot on Sanon. So that will send Aradori to the free throw line. As the time expired, Aradori, who just put his head down playing bully ball, able to create the contact and potentially add 2 more points to the total here in the first quarter for Bologna. So he knocks down the first. And he knocks down both. So after the first quarter of action, it's Bologna 19, Olimpia 16 here in Ljubljana, Slovenia. It's a Group D matchup, the Basketball Champions League. And Bologna once again showcasing why they are 2-0. Meanwhile, their fans making the journey here to Slovenia. That's commitment. You take a look at the stats. Only 8 shots from 2 so far for Bologna. Already taken 9 threes, 3 of them falling for him. Meanwhile, Olimpia 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. So that's obviously part of the problem here today. Also, Olimpia with 5 turnovers. As we take a look at some of the highlights of that first quarter, Olimpia 5 turnovers, shooting 7 of 20 overall. Meanwhile, Bologna just 3 turnovers and shooting 7 of 17. As Mbai really should have thrown that down with more authority, but hey, not everyone can get under the top 5. So Bologna, which is a very loaded team. You see punter, phenomenal scorer, but this is a team that scored 30 points in the final quarter away from home against Avellino last week. One of the biggest games of the Italian league so far. So this is a team that is in position to potentially win Basketball Champions League and the Italian League, or maybe the Italian Cup. So we'll see if the team in black can make a splash here in Ljubljana as Aradori stays out on the court. Meanwhile, Petrol Olimpija finding themselves in yet another close game after a tough loss by 2 points last week against Prometrias Patras. They had a chance to win at the buzzer with a 3. They also lost in the Adriatic lead against Mega Baymax, as well as getting a win over Hopsi Polzela. So they've had 3 one-possession games in 5 days. Meanwhile, that first possession, and here's a turnover from Sanon as Kelvin Mark, beautiful feed up ahead to Cappelletti, and Kravic able to finish at the rim and draw a foul. It looked like Begic blocked the shot, but instead he helped the ball go through the net. You see the nice pass there from Martin. And yep, through contact, it's Kravic finishing for his first basket of the game. And he unable to complete the 3-point play at the free throw line. So 21-16, +5 advantage early on in the second quarter here for Bologna. Scotty Reynolds, so far 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting. Meanwhile, another foul on the block as Kravic and Begic go back and forth. And we're also going to see for the first time for Bologna, number 33, who has not played in the Basketball Champions League so far. Beginning his first action here tonight. It's going to be a 5-second violation. So Gora Kamara, the big man, number 33, coming in to the game for the first time. Here's Cappelletti. Hands it off to Mbai. And Baldi Rossi, too strong on his 3-pointer. Rebound goes to Sanon, who looks ahead. Nice deflection there from Mbai. or sorry, that's David Cornu, who's checked into the game, number 25, and by number 24. So 25 down, David Cornu, the 6'2" guard. And we're seeing a lot of bodies being used here in the first half. So another stop for Bologna. Cornu, Cappelletti for another three. Once again, just a little strong, but Cornu comes away with the offensive rebound, and Bologna will reset. Cappelletti turns the corner, finds Kelvin Martin, and he can't hit the three, but it's another offensive rebound, this time Baldi Rossi, and Cornu will reset yet again. It's a screen from Camara. Baldi Rossi, little head shoulder fake, and a nice steal here from Senon, looking to attack the basket, coast to coast. What a move. Isu Senon gets his first bucket, able to burst all the way down the court after the steal. And the three-pointer drops for Cornu. So Cornu gets his first shot of the game, knocks down the open three, and we have a timeout on the floor as Petrol Olimpija finds themselves down 6 at the 8-minute mark. Let's listen in on the huddle. See the three-point numbers, already 4 threes.
Small foul, make a small foul, and box them out. If they take shots from
pick and roll for Cappe.
Meanwhile, the twos obviously in favor of Olimpija. Taking 8 more shots from there.
Se la prende puoi spendere fallo. Hai capito cosa dico? Ok? Va bene? Ok. Next offense and up. Now, immediately, full court. Full court. Okay, let's go! Let's go! 1, 2, 3. Very good.
So Senon showing you the speed there. So Senon hands it off, and it's Begic on the block. They're going to call a foul against Camara. And Camara took the harder blow of that matchup. You see foul going to be on Camara. He's a little bit slow defensively. Here's Blas Mesicek looking for some room. They look to go inside, and once again Camara called for the foul. And you can see Coach Martic on the sideline, very expressive about what he wants from his players in terms of getting the ball inside. Senon with a tough angle, but his coach is saying he basically needs to dribble over to that left wing and create a better passing angle. And Senon, no good on the three-pointer, and the rebound comes away in the hands of Cappelletti. Here's Baldi Rossi, the nice pass over the top, and Kelvin Martin with an easy lay-in. So some lackadaisical defense that time. Kelvin Martin, the Charleston Southern product out of Adel, Georgia. And foul there, as looked like Cappelletti forces the shooter to fall down on the floor. Obviously too much contact. So 2 free throws to come. Getting his first action is Jan Span, who misses that free throw. Jan Span, the 6'2" point guard, Slovenian, had a great game last week, 17 points. And he goes 1 for 2 from the free throw line. We're seeing a little backcourt press now, 2-1-2 action, trying to speed up the tempo. Bologna already with a 7-point lead. We haven't seen any Kevin Punter in the second quarter yet. Running a little flex offense, Bologna, and Cappelletti, nice move, but the finish was off target. Meanwhile, possession will remain with Bologna at 2.8 seconds on the shot clock. So they'll need something quick, and they're going to bring in a few reinforcements off the bench. Baldi Rossi will check out. And they're going to bring back Amat Mbaye. Meanwhile, Baldi Rossi gets called for the travels. He left his feet before trying to dribble. So good contest, leads to the turnover. Meanwhile, Mahi Lapornik will check back into the game. Lapornik, who has yet to get a clean look at the basket. Here's Spun. Looking for space, takes the pull-up 3, again off the back rim. And nice turn, and all the way to the basket for the layup as David Cornu is really giving this team a boost off the bench. 5 points for him. And the lead's now at 9, largest of the game. Here's Mesicek. Crosses over again, loses the ball. Numbers here for Bologna, and Cappelletti aggressively gets to the basket, and that's going to lead to a timeout as Bologna has a lead that reaches double digits for the first time here. Cappelletti had his mind set on getting to the rim and lays it up and in. So 30-19 now. We're just getting close, should I say, to the halfway mark of the second quarter.
We can one foul, they can foul. They're 5 times more aggressive than we do. Make a fucking foul. First possession. Flash, looking out. First possession.
We go with Flash, Cappe, and
See the rebounding numbers.
Screen for
Bologna.
Filippo. Okay?
Down 3 in the rebounding,
the
but
ball in the corner,
up 11, so I'm sure they'll take it.
Calvin, they close out aggressive.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in Group D at the moment, Ostend with a 12-point lead already in the second quarter against Neptunas Klaipėda. And meanwhile, Prometheus Patras with a 16-point lead in the third quarter just after halftime against Medi Beirut. So Scotty Reynolds will come back into the game. Look to get his shot going a little bit. He's guarded by Cornu. We're seeing another type of flex offense, backdoor cut. Meanwhile, Lapornik, 2-man game with Marvin Jones. He's isolated against Mbaye. Looking for space, step back, too strong on the jump shot. Cappelletti comes away with the rebound. So Cappelletti's been very involved here in the first half already. And he draws a foul on Jan Span. You heard Coach Martic implore his team to be more aggressive defensively, and they pick up their second foul there of the quarter. Meanwhile, Span nearly gets a steal on the inbounds pass. And by looking for Cornu. Kicks it out. Baldy Rossi for three. And the rebound comes away with Lapornik. Here's Scotty Reynolds. Quick pass. Span for three. Knocks it down. Transition three that time. Scotty Reynolds, the extra pass to Span. And it's now 30-22. Reynolds gambles for the steal. Ball goes inside to Martin. Has Lapornik on him. Lowers his shoulder. A little bit of contact. 2 free throws to come. The help side defense came that time from Bubnic. And it looks like the foul is going to be called on number 7. So Bubnic, who ducked down and got his hand on the ball, perhaps caught a little bit of the arm as well, and also the top of Martin's head. So Martin short on his first free throw. He's been a difference maker so far, plus 11 since he's been in the game. He goes 1 for 2 before checking out. And that's going to bring, most likely, Punter back in. We also see Tony Taylor, number 7, back up against Scotty Reynolds. See now Punter on Span. And it's another unforced turnover. Miscommunication between the 2 guards. And Span and Reynolds give the possession back over to Bologna. Here's Mbai on the block, looking to attack against Bubnic. Little fadeaway, tough shot for Mbai, and it falls. Mbai has also been very aggressive in the early going, able to get yet another bucket. Here's Radulovic. Kicks it back out. Scotty Reynolds, top of key 3, too strong, back rim. Punter with the rebound. And getting into the lane is Tony Taylor, finishing through contact, no whistle. Aggressive move that time from Tony Taylor. Span kicks it back out. Bubnic over Lapornik. Takes the long 3. No good yet again. And 3-pointers just not falling for Olimpia so far. Currently shooting just 1 for 8 from 3. And looks like that foul is going to be on Baldy Rossi. Bologna is in the penalty, so Olimpia will shoot free throws the rest of the quarter, or the half, I should say. And a 3-pointer in the corner. Baldy Rossi can't hit it. Span with the rebound. Olimpia looking to push. Down 12. Under 3 left here in the first half. Bubnic finds Span, who gets into the lane, and before that pass will draw the foul and head to the free throw line. First free throw falls for Span. He's now 2 for 3 for the game. So Span able to knock down 2 free throws. Again, the press here. Look to trap in the backcourt. Baldy Rossi, Tony Taylor not too bothered. And Olimpia falls back into a zone. Mbaye able to exploit the middle of that zone, but misses the little mid-range jump shot. Here comes Lepornik back the other way. Chase down block by Mbaye. Here comes punter back the other way. Little push off, and he gets the runner. Mbaye says bye-bye to the ball on that block. Good Lord. You could see it coming from a mile away. Lepornik just no idea that Mbaye was even in the vicinity. Meanwhile, Reynolds loses the ball on the way up, but we'll take another look at that ridiculous block by Mbaye. You see him coming out of your screen and slaps the ball away. No mercy for Lepornik. What a defensive play from Mbaye. So Bologna up 37-25. Punter will knock down another three. Too much room. Again, Kevin Punter, who's been around the Basketball Champions League for a while. Played for Rosa Radom, scoring 20-plus points per game before going over to AEK Athens for the end of last season from February to May. And picked the right time to go to AEK as they won the Champions League, the BCL. And he had 16 points in the final. So Kevin Punter, a major reason why AEK Athens can call themselves the defending champions. And he'll look to replicate that feat here in Bologna. Meanwhile, Reynolds, a nice pass to Radulovic, and he lays it in off the glass. So Scotty Reynolds playing the role of creator that time. And Radulovic gets another basket. Here's Punter again, another long three for Kevin Punter, and he's on fire. Already 13 points. He's got 3 threes here in the first half. Kevin Punter, you knew it was coming. Still impressive. Meanwhile, Bubnic looking to answer with a three of his own. No good. Punter collects the rebound. Meanwhile, Adadori wide open. Another three-pointer for Bologna. And they are really getting it going here, going into the half. Plus 19 lead. And you can see the fans, or you can hear, should I say, the lack of noise from the fans as Lepornik gets it over to Span. Good defense here. Span able to get room on a three, no good. Final possession for Bologna in the hands of Adadori. You'd imagine Punter wants to get another touch. Meanwhile, Adadori gets into the lane, takes the bump, and kisses off the glass, no good. So, at the end of the first half, Bologna 46-27 lead over Petrol Olimpija here in Ljubljana. It's been a tremendous first half offensively for the Italian side. As you see, Marvin Jones unable to get things going in that second quarter. So you see the stats. Olimpia just 9-22 from from 2, 1-11 from 3. Meanwhile, Bologna already with 7 made threes. So plus 18 advantage there. The rebounding numbers are even. But really the difference is 8 more made field goals for Bologna, including 7 of those being three-pointers. They also have 8 assists on those 18 shots. Meanwhile, 10 turnovers really plaguing Olimpia in that first half. You see the leaders, Punter already with 13 points, Baldi Rossi with 5 rebounds. Over for Olimpia, it's Radulovic with 7 points, and Lazic, who had an impressive start, but didn't get much playing time in the latter parts of the second quarter. Lazic, who didn't have any fouls, so only really got first quarter action. Meanwhile, Adadori with 7 points, and Cornu off the bench with 5. But it's just a different level of energy from these players for Bologna so far. So we'll take a look at some of the highlights of that first 20 minutes of play. And it was Mbaye who got things started with his tip for the first field goal. And by the French national, 6'9", but got a little bit higher that time. Meanwhile, Scotty Reynolds has done his best, set up teammates. He has 3 assists so far. Struggling to shoot, just 1 of 5 from the field, over 2 from 3. Best player for Olimpija has been Bojan Radulovic. And the best player of the game has no question been Kevin Punter. 5 of 7, 13 points, 3 of 4 from 3. And 2 rebounds to go with it. Meanwhile, you see Tony Taylor there hitting the transition 3. Taylor out of Sleepy Hollow, New York. Played his college basketball at George Washington. Also played last year in the Basketball Champions League with Banvit. So Kevin Martin, who's another one of those energy guys off the bench for Coach Sacripanti. That pass from Martin, the look-ahead pass on the money, and Cappelletti making the extra pass over to Kravic for the N1. There's just really been a lot of good teamwork plays for Bologna in that first half, and that's why they find themselves comfortably up 19 points after just 20 minutes. You see a lot of these highlights coming courtesy of Bologna. They've been the aggressors throughout that first half. Different guys have stepped up. So this was probably the one momentum type of play that Olimpija had in that second quarter, the transition 3 from Span. But the buckets are few and far between for Olimpija. Again, this team 0-2 coming to today's action, playing against a team that's considered one of the favorites. A lot of sports media people have Bologna in their top 5 or top 10 teams in the Basketball Champions League. Obviously, those rankings change every week given the performances. But when you have guys like Mbai, who's probably your 4th or 5th option, hitting little turnaround fadeaways like that, you're obviously a dangerous team. Meanwhile, Kevin Punter, his 3 is just nothing but the bottom of the net, it seems like, every time he shoots. So we'll be back shortly for the second half action. Please stay tuned.
Nažalost, od Finda do Krasnovalec je Uroš Dražanić.
Welcome back to Ljubljana. We are getting ready now for the second half of this Group D matchup between Petrol Olimpija and Segafredo Virtus Bologna. At the moment, Bologna with a comfortable 46-27 lead with 20 minutes to go. But we do know that in basketball, miracles and anything is possible. So still plenty of time for Petrol Olimpija to get back into this game, especially with guys like Scotty Reynolds and other shooters like Michal Opornik and Jan Span, and of course Blaz Mesicek.
If nothing, return pass to point guard, set the screen and attack.
Meanwhile, Bologna will just look to probably stay aggressive these next 5 minutes.
Stay with shooting. It's very important.
You can see there Coach Sacripanti urging his guys to remain intense. But these first 5 minutes of the third quarter will tell us a lot about the rest of this game, and we're seeing a couple of changes to the lineups to start the second half. As Isuf Sanan starts the third quarter. Meanwhile, these very fancy looking jerseys for Bologna, the black and the white, the black 5. So Scotty Reynolds has the ball, being guarded by Tony Taylor. He's joined in the lineup by, of course, a turnover on the first possession as Lazic throws the ball away. So it's Begic, Lazic, Scotty Reynolds, Samanic, and Sanon, who so far have combined for a total of 10 points. Meanwhile, guys like Kevin Punter on the other end was unable to hit that first shot of the third quarter for Bologna. The starting five for Bologna is Aradori, Kravic, Mbai, Kevin Punter, and Tony Taylor. Here's Begic looking to go at Kravic. Again, these two have been matched up all night, and nice, smart play there from Mbai, slapping the ball off the rim. Meanwhile, Aradori looking to get the ball inside, kick ball on Samanic. So 13 on the shot clock. Aradori. And Punter will take another contested shot, this time no good. Rebound Samanic, hands it over to Reynolds. And strip. It's going to be called a foul on Punter, who looks to get his hand, caught him on that left wrist. So 2 free throws to come for Isuf Sanan. First free throw is good. Sanan, also just 18 years old. 6'4" shooting guard out of Ukraine. A very bright future, but misses that second free throw. And the save ends up back with Sanan's hands. Gives it over to Scotty Reynolds. He'll take the 3 and knocks it in. Scotty Reynolds makes it a 4-point possession for Olimpija. And you see now the backcourt pressure as they look to speed up the tempo. Down 15. So big 4-point possession that time. Kind of carve into this lead a little bit. Meanwhile, Aradori takes a tough shot, air ball. Sanan on the rebound, looking to push it. Can go all the way, gives it up to Lazic. Lazic, good footwork, and one opportunity. And it's another big bucket. You see the excitement there from the young Sanan as Lazic spun a couple of times, got Mbai off his feet. Finishes through contact and will head to the free throw line. So Lazic, who had by certain accounts, a good first quarter, but can't complete the 3-point play. And here's another trap opportunity. Aradori gets his way out of it. And Mbai over to Taylor. Now Mbai has a mismatch on Reynolds. Spins baseline, draws a foul. And Mbai refuses to shake hands, as after the initial foul from Reynolds took the bump. We'll see here. Looked like Begic just wanted to make sure he didn't finish the and one play. So first free throw is good for Mbai. Mbai played his college basketball a couple years at Wyoming. Also went to Oklahoma. So the former Sooner goes 1 for 2. And after playing his basketball at Olimpija Milano last year, starts his first season with Virtus Bologna. And it's another steal. Here comes Mbai. Over to punter. Agadori now. Goes inside, little pro hop, swatted away from Begic. And a foul will be called on Adadori. So tremendous defensive play there from Mirza Begic, as Adadori forgets that he's not the most athletic of players before getting swatted. And Reynolds, he gets blocked. That time it's Kravic offering the rim protection. So he tells Begic, anything you can do, I can do better. Still 8 seconds left on the shot clock here for Olimpija. Samanic, who's been very quiet, gets it over to Reynolds. 2 on the shot clock, has to put up, no, won't get it off in time. And Samanic's shot won't count. So Samanic, who is a very good player, obviously, but quite young. And between him and Senon, both 18 years of age, you can understand frustrations here. Meanwhile, Kravic, nice move on the baseline, ends up with the jump hook. Here's Reynolds again. Matched up against Taylor. Go inside the Begic. Forces his way to the middle. Gets a nice little jump hook himself. So Begic and Kravic getting a nice little back and forth going. Meanwhile, Adadori, lefty finish is good this time. So he shows off the athleticism on that possession. Meanwhile, Reynolds always aggressive over to Lazic, and the rainbow 3 no good. Good box out from Kravic. Here's Adadori again, up to punter, who finds Mbai inside, and just for good measure throws down the powerful jam that doesn't count, but it will be the second team foul on Olimpija. So we have a timeout on the floor. It's still an 18-point lead here for Bologna. Just under 6 minutes to play. Olimpija calls a timeout as Coach Martic will look to talk to his troops about successfully mounting a comeback. Let's listen in.
Uzmi ti ovog Oradorija I ti uzmi NBA. Ide agresivno u njega. He have 2 fouls to give. They cannot bring the ball in offense. It's like this. Attack them. Let's play. First possession.
Screen for Tony. Tony receive the ball. Amat, Pietro, you pass the ball. Pietro, and we enter in time up. We enter in time up. And if they call zone, you call head 4. You call head 4. You can spend a foul when you play 1-1. You under the rim.
So Scotty Reynolds will walk back out onto the floor. Meanwhile, Senon stays in the game. Possession belongs to Bologna. A little bit of confusion. Little hook around Punter, able to hit the mid-range shot. Kevin Punter with his first points of the second half, giving him 15 on the game. Of course, he averages 19. You would expect him to get either close to or above that. Meanwhile, loose ball. Reynolds gets called for the backcourt violation, as he won't argue the call. Looked like the ball might have bounced off his foot. Oh, it was off his teammate's foot. So definitely the right call there with the backcourt. Meanwhile, Alessandro Pajola checks into the game. And Mbai with a nice fadeaway jumper yet again. And Ahmad Mbai really making his presence felt here tonight. Of course, Mbai, who came in averaging 12 points per game at 7 here so far. Samanic can't finish over Mbai. Here comes Punter. Ooh, little hesitation dribble. Gets away with a double dribble, and Mbai knocks down the 3. So it goes from bad to worse. And Mbai now in double figures with 10. And the lead balloons up to 23. As Punter got away with a near double dribble. Meanwhile, Scotty Reynolds draws a foul on Pajola. So Pajola getting his first action of the night. Also 18 years old, so a lot of young legs getting action here tonight, midweek, especially with the score as what it is. Meanwhile, Scotty Reynolds over to Senon, looks to feed Mbai, read it all the way. Here comes Pajola, extra pass. Kevin Punter wide open, shockingly misses it, maybe a little bit too open. And it's another steal. This time Punter crosses over. Mbai take off. Oh, nice feed over to Kravic. Unselfish play. Mbai doing a little bit of everything here in the second half. As you see him draw the defense. Meanwhile, finds Kravic wide open underneath. 60-35 now. Just over 3.5 to go in the third quarter. Reynolds corner 3, no good. And the ball will go back to Bologna as Lazic can secure the offensive rebound. Meanwhile, Baldi Rossi will come into the game for Mbai, as well as David Cornu. Meanwhile, Pajola will run the point guard duties to see the field goal percentages. Baldi Rossi has Samanic on him on the block. Punter, little three-pointer off the dribble. It's a long 2. Referees counted as a long 2. Another long-distance bucket, though, for Kevin Punter. Really, his name should be Kevin Shooter. Meanwhile, Samanic, can he respond? Knocks down a 3 of his own. And finally, Samanic on the board, able to get his first points of the night. Here's Cornu, turns the corner, finds Punter alone yet again. Off the dribble, another 3, got tapped on that left elbow. So 3 free throws to come after the foul from Lazic. And this will get Punter the chance to get 20 points on the night. As you see the contest. So Punter, who's been a 75% free throw shooter so far this season. Misses the first. And he misses the second as well. So 0 for 2 for Kevin Punter. But he's able to finally hit the last one and will come out of the game with 18 points. That brings Kelvin Martin off the bench. And of course, Martin also provided some good positive contributions in that first half. Meanwhile, here's Reynolds off the curl, able to get to the basket and lay it in. And they're going to call, it would have been a goaltending if the ball hadn't fallen. So Reynolds able to get all the way to the basket, finish amongst the trees. Oh, Pajola, nice spin move to get away from Scotty Reynolds. Here's Cornu, a little crossover, gets it to the lane and all the way to the rim. Strong move there from David Cornu. And there's been a collision underneath the basket. Seeing some good sportsmanship there on the part of Kelvin Martin. Looks like it's either Begic or Lazic. Take another look here as Cornu gets into the lane. And oh yeah, Kelvin Martin was coming in. And it looked like Robo Bachim, his neck kind of went the opposite way, and he's just going to go straight to the locker room for some medical attention. So Robo Bachim, who had just came into the game, will head to the locker room to get checked out. We hope he's okay. Literally played 90 seconds, hadn't touched the ball yet, and it goes down hard. Meanwhile, Lazic gets to the rim, challenges both Kamara and Kelvin Martin, but able to pick up a foul, and he'll head to the free throw line for 2 shots. So Lazic looking to hit the second free throw, and does just that for the friendly bounce. And a steal here in the backcourt. Samanic puts it in. Quick few points here for Petrol Olimpija, and then they commit a foul in the backcourt. So just the 4th team foul. Bologna not yet in the bonus. Got to appreciate the fight there. Despite being down 20+ points, continue to play hard. There's Pajola. Cornu finds Baldy Rossi for 3. It's good. Another 3-pointer for Bologna. That's now 9 on the game compared to just 3 for Petrol Olimpija. Meanwhile, Laz Masacek can't hit it. Pajola gets the rebound and will just casually bring it up the floor. Calls out a play over to Baldi Rossi. And Kamara will come for the high screen. Nice feed inside on the roll. Kamara splits the double team, draws a foul, and 2 free throws to come for him. So Blaz Mesicek picks up his first foul. As you see, Kamara didn't have that much room, but able to draw the foul and potentially get his first points of the night from the free throw line. So he calmly knocks down the first free throw. Kamara, who within this youth movement, is just 17 years old, 6'11" out of Senegal, and he goes 1 for 2 from the free throw line. So again, another one of those young players getting his first action of the Basketball Champions League this season. Meanwhile, Mesicek gets into the lane, can't finish the lefty layup. Oh, nice trailer pass to Baldy Rossi, but he doesn't hit the three. So game clock and shot clock nearly identical. Olimpia down 25. Reynolds thought about it. Reynolds looking to create space. Makes a nice pass. Marvin Jones, he can't hit it. And the ball ends up in Baldy Rossi's hands. Pejola will take the half-court three. Air ball. So after three, it's a 25-point lead for Bologna, 69-44 over Petrol Olimpija here in Ljubljana. Another brilliant performance in that third quarter. As so far, take a look at the stats. Bologna shooting 60% from 2, 39% from 3. Have struggled from the free throw line, however, but they've also won every quarter. They were +3 in the first, +16 in the second, and then +6 there in the third. And all of that put together amounts to a 25-point advantage going into the last 10 minutes. But as we take a look at some of the highlights from that third quarter, we see the and one there from Lazic. And it's not like Olimpia didn't make a few nice plays. They were just spread apart too often. They get a quick 4, a quick 7, and then defensively give up a number of threes to wide open guys like Punter and Baldy Rossi. Also leading scorers so far for Olimpia. Scotty Reynolds with 7, and Radulovic still with 7 from that first half. No one else with more than 7, obviously. Meanwhile, over for Bologna, we knew we could expect Kevin Punter to produce. He's got 18 points on just 7 of 12 shooting. Meanwhile, Mbaye with 10. And those are the only 2 players in double figures thus far.
1, 2, 3.
So fourth quarter is about to be underway. You see Radulovic and Marvin Jones talking it out. They'll be joined by Mesicek, Isuf Sanin, and Lazic. Meanwhile, for Bologna, it's Pejola, Cornu, Kelvin Martin right there with a shot, no good. Kamara. And finally, Baldy Rossi. There's Mesicek, nice hesitation, gets around the defense, can't finish. And transition opportunity for Pejola. Finds Baldy Rossi in the corner, they reset. They'll be happy to use up some clock on the different possessions. Here's Baldy Rossi, draws a foul on Mesicek. Doesn't seem like Mesicek really wanted to play defense there, but they were battling for position. No argument from Blaj. Shot clock down to 5. Pejola puts it up, tough shot, no good. Kamara fights for the rebound, saved by Sanin. Sanin putting the pressure on the defense, loses the ball. A good poke away there from Pejola, and Kamara able to come away with the steal. Oh, strong drive. And 2 free throws to come for David Carnu. Carnu, who's been aggressive every time he's touched the ball. And Mesicek picks up his 3rd foul. So 2 free throws now for Cornu. He's got 7 points and 3 of 3 shooting. And And he knocks down the first free throw. There are those Bologna fans yet again. Of course, Slovenia not too far from Italy, but I have a feeling that the fans would have traveled much, much further if necessary. Obviously, the great thing about the Basketball Champions League, you get to compete all over Europe. A lot of the travel. I'm sure you can see the article on the Basketball Champions League website, actually, about a former assistant coach from Petrol Olimpija, spent 10 seasons there. Discussed how the team played around 80 games last year. The coach Martic's team, and between December and mid-February played no less than 34 games in 78 days. So that's the product of playing in 4 different competitions. Meanwhile, Mesicek with a long 3, no good. 4 guys in black going for the rebound. Now 1 white jersey in sight, and it's a 27-point lead as the clock continues to dwindle. Meanwhile, nice pass inside. Kamara, good solid defense, but they're unable to come away with a stop. Meanwhile, Martin leaves his feet and throws the ball away. Lazic gets the steal. And Lazic dribbles himself into trouble, but the ball bounces out of bounds on Pagiola. So we're going to see Cappelletti come back into the game, and we're going to have a timeout before then. So timeout on the floor, 7 minutes and 56 seconds left. Bologna up 71-44 here in Ljubljana. And I'm sure we've probably seen the last of Kevin Punter with his 18 points, so he'll fall 1 short of his 19-point average. Meanwhile, you see the turnover numbers, +10 advantage for Bologna.
In offense, we wait too long. We don't move without the ball. We don't set screens. Go first possession. Go. Go fist. Go fist.
Okay.
And then those points off turnovers have also been a major difference.
Questo Cappe la prende e gioca pick and roll. Ok, tu blocchi e vai forte dentro. Va bene? We call flat for Alex.
Go.
Okay, let's go.
1, 2, 3.
So Coach Martic, you can see, or let's say you can hear his complaints about his team at the moment. Just not quite executing. Not much movement on offense, both on ball and off the ball. And the Slovenian coach, after obviously winning a championship with this team last season in Slovenia, they need to get back to their winning ways, as they're in trouble falling 0-3. And that time, Radulovic unable to get the jump hook to fall. Here's Cappelletti. Pagiola looking to get the ball inside to Kamara. And you know Cornu will stay aggressive. Pagiola, a little step back 3. And they're going to call a foul on the 3-pointer against Sanin. He can't believe the call. And again, it's a learning curve for a lot of these players. They obviously know that the 3-pointer is such a dangerous threat. You see him catch him on that right wrist. Just can't get away with it. Referees are really honing in on the 3-point contests. Meanwhile, Pagiola gets his first points of the night here in the 4th quarter. So Pagiola outscores his average there on that free throw trip. Came in at 2 points per game as usually the 3rd string point guard. Right now playing with Cappelletti in the backcourt. Meanwhile, Marvin Jones gets into the lane. Short little hooker. And it's going to be a foul on the floor against Bologna, their 2nd team foul. Here's Jan Span. Lazic over to Sanon, gets poked away. Shot clock in the red down at 5. Span looking to create some space. Gets into the lane, no foul called. What a strong finish from Span. Through the contact, bit of a circus shot. Oh, the big three-pointer there from Cappelletti. And another three-point shot from Span to get right back. So the offense picking up here in the last few possessions. Meanwhile, kick out. Here's Kelvin Martin. He can't respond to a three of his own. And a nice flip shot there from Radulovic. So Olimpija putting a couple points on the board here in the fourth quarter. Cornu gets the high screen from Kamara. Oh, nice little hesitation dribble. Cornu gets all the way to the cup, finishes off the glass. So Cornu with yet another strong finish. He's been very impressive here tonight. He got 9 points on the game, giving him actually 11 points, so double figures for Cornu. Meanwhile, Span, he can't hit a three. Jones flies in, and he creates another opportunity for Olimpija. So Kamara checks out, replaced by Kravic. You see again that move from Cornu, going right at Radulovic and at Lazic. Here's Span again. Nice pump fake and then one dribble pull up. So Span with 13 points. He's now the leading scorer for Olimpija, despite only playing about 12 minutes. Here's Martin, crosses over, shot clock at 1. What a shot from Kelvin Martin as the shot clock expires. Kmart, another bucket. Oh, nice feed inside. Marvin Jones with a patient put in. And now both teams just kind of playing, you know, less intense basketball, but Span not giving up. Gets the steal. Playing for pride at this moment at home. Here's Santa, back to Span. Nice feed inside. And Cappelletti recovers to knock the ball out of bounds. So you see there the quick feed. And we're going to have a timeout on the floor. So with 3.5 minutes to go, it's 81-55. Bologna in full control. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Group D at the moment, we see the rebounding numbers. So Prometheus Patras gets a 5-point win over the German side, Mehdi Bayreuth. Meanwhile, Ostend with a, see the second chance numbers. Olimpija with a significant advantage, but hasn't really paid off for him. But yeah, so Ostend up 14 points right now in the final moments of the third quarter against Neptunus Papeira. And of course, earlier tonight, Beşiktaş falling at home to a very strong Strasbourg side that features Mike Green, the MVP of the Final Four last year, the Basketball Champions League. So Group D has a number of teams that can do damage throughout the regular season of the Basketball Champions League going into the playoffs. But two teams currently 3-0. It looks like Bologna will be one of another big three from Span. Well, it's not really a big three, but another three from Jan Span, who really should have played more minutes if you ask me. He is instant offense. And here's Capelletti. Cornu responds with a three right back in Span's face. So Bologna will likely move ahead to 3-0 as well. And that means we'll have 3 teams with 3 wins and 2 teams with 3 losses. Meanwhile, Ostend with a chance to pick up its first win. Here's Lazic for the 3. He misses, but Marvin Jones, athletic offensive rebound, and Radulovic can't get the putback. So the turnover, Sandon over to Span, and he gets another easy 2. So a few garbage points coming here for Jan Span. He's got 18 points on the night now. Capelletti, another turnover. Oh, never mind, ends up with Kravic's hands. They call a foul, so 2 free throws to come for Kravic. See Pedrola giving the ball away. Span leaking out. So Kravic will head to the free throw line. The chance to pick up his 7th and 8th points. Hits the first. And the fans haven't stopped. So Kravic, who was born in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but is of Serbian and Canadian nationality. Meanwhile, Berti, who just checked into the game, will have to come right back out. Looks like he has a cut. So Matteo Berti, 20-year-old, won't get a chance to get on the floor just yet. That's going to bring Kamara back in. Meanwhile, Kravic at the free throw line, a 28-year-old. Studied at York University in Canada. Here's Shannon over to Span. Wants a little bit of room, you can tell. Happy to take it on himself. Gets in the lane, little runner, no good. Rebound by Kravic. Oh, beautiful pass to Pedrola for the lay-in. And just some very poor transition defense from Olimpija. And now they're down 28. Surely can't go down 30 here at home. And a little hook shot, Lazic no good. Here comes Capelletti, 90 seconds to go in the game. And it's like pretty much a practice shot for him as he walks into a free throw jumper. And Capelletti just making it a 30-point lead now for Bologna. So Capelletti now double figures with 10. One of 4 players for the Italian side with 10+ points. Meanwhile, Span short on that 3. You can see again the lead to Kravic for the dunk. No look alley-oop pass from Capelletti. And Kravic says, I want to be in double figures too. What a highlight play in the final minute of action. And they call a foul. It's going to be on the floor. So Capelletti picks up his 3rd foul. They're up 32, just the 3rd team foul. It looks like Cappelletti took the brunt of that foul. So punter leads the way with 18, Mbai with 10. Meanwhile, Cornu with 14, Krajewicz with 10, and Cappelletti also with 10. So 5 players now in double figures for Bologna. Just 1 for Petrol Olimpija as Kamara swats it away, but not before they blow the whistle. So the big man from Senegal, very active. Again, just 17 years old, just incredible. And while you take a nice look at this arena here in Ljubljana, meanwhile, in Ostend, it seems that Neptunus Klaipėda making a bit of a comeback, just down 6 now with 9 minutes to go. There's Cappelletti over to Baldi Rossi. Inside to Kamara, who's been in the lane for a while. And he can't finish through the double team. So game clock, just about 2 seconds faster than the shot clock. Olimpija will use up some clock. Will hopefully get this under 30. The fans want Sano to attack. He pulls into a 3, too strong. And Galbi Rossi will probably dribble out the clock. So at the end of this one, it's Virtus Bologna 92, Petrol Olimpija 61 from Ljubljana. Another decisive victory for Bologna. The Italian side, 31-point advantage over Olimpija. It was a start to finish masterful performance for Bologna. They put up 92 points on the Slovenian side, came in as one of the leading teams in scoring at 80+ points per game, 86 points per game for that matter. Obviously surpassed that total with 92 here. And we'll take a look at the stats and then some highlights, but you can see the players showing their appreciation to the fans. We're traveling. Meanwhile, a couple performances to point out for this Italian side. Once again, Kevin Punter leading the way with 18 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 3 of 5 threes. And you see the overall shooting. They did it from 2 and from 3. Somewhat struggled from the free throw line, but Olimpija, who scored a few more points there in garbage time, but it's still a wall-to-wall win for Bologna as they outscored Petrol Olimpija in every quarter. You see that also took care of the ball very well, just 9 turnovers for Bologna. Meanwhile, we talked about the individual players. Cornu with 14 points off the bench on 5 of 5 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3 and 2 for 2 free throws. A perfect stat line for David Cornu. Also had 3 rebounds to go along with that. Meanwhile, Baldi Rossi led the way in rebounding with 8. Over on the Olympian side, Senon with 9 rebounds to go with his 4 points. Meanwhile, Span had 18 points, 3 threes himself. Scotty Reynolds, pretty much a non-factor, 7 points, 3 of 9 from the field. Did have 5 assists. Definitely want to point that out. Just didn't get enough help, honestly. This is a team that doesn't really have the scoring punches to match some of the other European sides, the stronger sides. So they heavily rely on Reynolds and Spen to provide that scoring, and it's not going to be consistent. Meanwhile, Bologna has a number of weapons they can count on. So we'll leave you with the highlights for the game. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.